right after noon, so I will go ahead and officially start our presentation. So we have Joe McCann with us, and he's the policy director for Family Cafe, and he is going to talk all things cafe
We'll talk
and,
after.
and answer questions. So you let me know when you want me to start the actual presentation.
Okay, you can go ahead and put it up and we can get started if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll just get rolling when we're ready. Please feel
to-
free to, I don't know how you like to do this, Dina and Alan, but if people want to ask questions on, I'm more than, we're going to go through a lot of stuff kind of fast. So I'm going to try not to go fast. That's a terrible habit that I have. So please feel free to yell at me if I do. But there's a lot of details and I'm sure people might have some questions and stuff like that. So feel free to interrupt me, Alan or Dina, jump in at any time.
Okay. So can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Well then, Joe, you take it away.
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody. I see some of my friends on here. Always good to be working with you, Dina, and Alan especially. I think we have a wonderful little relationship going here, and it's always a pleasure. And you guys have helped so much with my Let's Talk calls, and I just really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to work with you guys. So this is me. I'm Joe McCann, policy director of the Family Cafe. It's important that people realize. Can you hear me if I sit like this still? Is this okay, Dina?
Yes.
It's important that people understand from my perspective, I'm a family member. I have a brother with CP. I have a daughter with epilepsy, and I've just kind of grown up around in our community. And I've also had some substance abuse issues in my family that we've dealt with over the years. And so we are family members, and everybody in this office at least is a family member. So we come to this naturally. My journey has really been in the policy area. I was always very interested in public policy and legislative politics, and so I started at a pretty young age working in the House of Representatives, and then got my experience in Florida. We can just suffice it to say that I worked in the Capitol, several locations in the Florida House and the Florida Senate. The experience I had in Congress is really helpful and kind of with context for a lot of these things. And then I went on in 1999 to work at a private firm called Ballard Partners, where I worked for the next almost 17 years or so, 18 years. And in that role, I was a contract lobbyist. So I worked at a firm and I had all kinds of clients. Most had nothing to do with disabilities. And we represented a lot of healthcare companies, a lot of local governments, a lot of things like that. So I just got a lot of experience in that area. And I learned very quickly that my passion in this, it was like an absolute vacation for me when I was, when I had a huge number of clients, would be to engage with FAST or the DD Council or the Family Cafe and help them. And I ultimately ended up representing most of the groups that are independently over the years at one time or another. So my friendships and relationships go back quite a ways. So it's just, so that's who I am. So let's get past that silliness. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this is talk a little bit about what we do at the Family Cafe, and then talk a little bit about the Annual Family Cafe, right? Because those are actually two very different things. And I know people have a lot of questions and, I'm sure suggestions and other things about the Annual Family Cafe, but let's talk about what the Family Cafe does during the rest of the year first. So as you know, we host the largest cross-disability event, one of the largest in the nation. Who knows? We claim it. I think it's true. It's a huge event, and I don't know of any others of its kind. During the cafe, we also host the Governor Summit on Disabilities, which is a very big part of the cafe, and it's really and I know I'm talking about the cafe here. I'll move past this pretty quickly, and we'll get back to it. But it's important to note in the beginning about the Governor Summit on Disabilities and the unique opportunity that is for people. Look, some years are better than others in terms of access and politics and stuff like that, but there are always in that room representatives of all of the relevant agencies. And there is a time to go get them and talk to them and ask questions. And you can also see them during the cafe. So the Summit on Disability is a really good thing to make as a central point of the visit, right? So just don't forget about that. That's always on Friday night at 6 o'clock. And this year, we expect the governor, as we get the governor to that almost every year, sometimes on a different day, but I think there's been 2 years where the governor of Florida out of 26 hasn't shown up at all, right? So they're usually there, and the agency heads as well. So check that out. The resources and information to families, that's just some information about how many people are on the wait list, blah, blah, blah. Outreach. The Q&A book is something that we put out every year after the Family Cafe. And this is actually one of the resources that I think is kind of underutilized. So this is what this looks like. And we offer this as, afterwards. I'm not sure. I think we mail it out to everybody who registered. And it's really all of the questions and answers that you've ever wanted to know from the agency over the year. So this is really not, it's obviously updated. We get new questions, but it is all the questions you wanted to know and were maybe afraid to ask. So please check that out. I also host a Let's Talk legislative conference call during the legislative session. I'm sure you guys know about that. You all are a big part of that. And then we have our Florida Youth Council. Florida Youth Council, big part of what we do. It's for individuals between, is it 18 and 40? It might be 16 and 40, but for individuals between, I believe it's 18 and 40, for a wonderful program that is, very valuable. They have their own conference every year. They have speakers come in, and they run themselves. And so it's a very interesting organization, and the young people do an incredible job. And they help us very much at the cafe and throughout the year as well. And there's a registration process to join the Florida Youth Council. We love getting new members to the Youth Council. They're a big part of what we do. Okay, you can go to the next slide, Dina. So one of the other things that we do during the year, the Family Cafe, it's called the Family Run Organization Movement. We call it FROM. And it's basically a way, when you're in one of the breakout sessions or in a presentation and you think, gosh, this would be nice to be able to have this conversation throughout the year. That's kind of what we're trying to do with FROM. We're trying to continue the dialogue and the technical assistance to other nonprofits. One of the things that we have learned over the years is how creative we are in this community in finding solutions. And many times that's through the creation of small nonprofits or working at a part of another nonprofit. And what we wanted to offer was just a technical assistance program where we can put on webinars and face-to-face meetings, networking meetings, training sessions. And this is an example of some of the things that we've done already with FROM. Obviously, the purpose is to assist family, youth, and peer-run organizations to fill their missions, to be sustainable, and contribute to the solidarity of our statewide family-run voice. Families and individuals are the most important part of what we do here, and so we're trying to help. And so we've done them on building a board to brag about, assessing your status. That's for people who are looking to start one if they want to. How do you secure funding? We've done those. Most of those, by the way, are on our website. If you take a look at it at www.familycafe.net, and you can see the rest of these. We also have a pre-conference every year that we host, and we have one this year that's going to be on advocacy. You might have gotten the invitation emails. If you sign up for the Family Cafe, you're going to get the emails. And get ready, because we send a few, especially at this time of year. So apologize in advance for that, but we've got a lot of information to get out to everybody. Mary Kingston Roach is going to do the FROM Pre-Con this year. Some of you might remember her from Advocacy Summit, but she's been at a couple of other pre-cons and done a few webinars with us. She's very, very good. In November of 2021, under FROM, we released what we call the FROM Guidebook, and let me get it. This is everything you would want to know about family-run organizations. It is comprehensive. and I think you'd like it. And we add to it, and so it's a working document that we use to for folks to help with starting nonprofits or nonprofit sustainability. So that's a nice resource to get. It's free and it can be downloaded on the website as well. Okay. So that gives you a sense of that. Dina, you could go to the next slide. It tells you a little bit about From. I think Dina, oh, there we go. Okay, so this is just a quick example. We'll move this one pretty fast. This just gives you an idea of some of the other programs that we've done with From. How to, this was a fun one, how to establish your nonprofit for social media. Yeah, that was, we all learned a lot that day. But you can see root cause analysis, a big part of an advocacy plan. So, and again, this is all available. Please take a look at it. You can go ahead on the next slide, Dina. Okay, this is about what we all probably really wanted to talk about. And I'm going to go into a little bit of advocacy at the end of this, just like to share a few things in case, because I think we sort of talked about that at the beginning, but about the Family Cafe. So this is our 26th Annual Family Cafe. I started coming to them probably around, I don't know, 17 or so, 16, 17. But yeah, it was our 25th anniversary last year, and we only had one that we couldn't do, right, because of COVID. And then we had a hybrid year, and that was very interesting. And actually, I'm going to tell you this, that is one of the more valuable cafes for me, because as difficult as that was, and actually the entire cafe was me and Jeremy sort of being these hosts, right? I don't even want to watch them. I'm like afraid to watch them. I don't even want to see how that looked, because it was a crazy time with COVID and all this stuff. And we were interviewing, like, you know, we had the governor's thing on, and we had we had to host all of the keynote speakers. And then we picked like 25 presentations that are some of the most popular we do, you know, like the APD presentation and other things. And we did it in like an interview format. It's challenging. And we did that for 14 straight days. We had 3 a day for 14 days. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was actually 16 because it included the weekends. But the benefit of that is that it's all online, right? And so the cafe is impossible to do at the Annual Family Cafe, to do even a fraction of what is offered there. So you know, we'll talk about making a plan later. But in this particular instance, you know, it's all there. And so it's helpful to be able to watch some of those videos, because you just can't do it all at the same time. So the first cafe we had was at the Adams Mark, which is now the Florida Mall Hotel. I don't know if you've ever been to our youth conference. That's where we hosted. It's actually a really cool hotel. It's right at the end of the Florida Mall. So when you get bored, you can go shopping. Governor Bush was there, and there were 1,200 people at the first one. Lori likes to tell the story about how we thought that nobody would show, or it would be a very small group, and had over 1,000 people the very first time, and without inviting very many. So that was a big deal. Over the years, people love to reminisce about where the cafe has been, right? It's been at the Coronado Springs, Hyatt Orlando, Caribe Royale. We've had it at one of the Rosens. We also had it at the Shingle Creek one time. I think that was only one time. But you know, it's a challenge. The hotel, especially with the number of people that we have. I'll tell you that this year we've already have over 11,000 people registered. Okay, there is a fairly large number of people that come to the cafe every year, and that we don't get them because they don't register. Right? You don't have to register to walk in the door. It's really, really helpful for us because it helps us make a case for ourselves. So please register. But you know, this will easily be over 15,000. We had over 15 last year that we know of, and that was with about 9,000 having registered this far out. Right, we had more as we got closer. So this is leading up to be a big one. And just FYI, we're going to be at our contract with the Hyatt goes for another 2 years, and you know, we'll see what is out there. It's a very difficult hotel to pick, because we're very specific with our needs. Obviously, we want up and down. We want as little walking as we can. We want the rooms as close together as we can. We need all the accessibility. We need more elevators than anybody has. So, you know, right now the Hyatt is the best, and you know, we'll see where we go from there. I hope everybody likes that hotel. I do. And I've been around a few of the others, and I really think that, this is as good as we can do at this moment. And so that might change. We hear rumors of some hotels making some additions and maybe some more infrastructure stuff, and we're constantly monitoring all of that. And I mentioned, we talked a little bit about the Governor's Summit, but what else do we do at the Annual Family Cafe? So, again, please interrupt me if anybody has a question or comment, but we have at least 250 breakout sessions they're called the concurrent sessions, and we break those down into tracks, as you might know. So the presentations there are some others, but generally fall under either advocacy, assistive technology, birth to 5, dads, disaster preparedness, employment, mental health, military families, recreation, smart money, and youth. And so you can follow that track. And if you want to follow that, we're going to make it as easy as possible so that you won't have conflicts to with the scheduling to follow that track if you have a specific interest, right? So that's easy. If you've got multiple interests, it's a little bit harder. The exhibitors are a big part. I think the big exhibitor hall is kind of the main draw, right? We have a lot in that room, not just the exhibitors. We have micro enterprises as well, which are individuals with disabilities who have their own business or have a product to sell or show. And we also have the book fair. That's also on the other side, and an AT room on the other side of that. What else? Sports ability demonstrations. There's all kinds of stuff going in. Some of you might not know about are two sort of new things. We have a club cafe for youth where they can go and kind of have fellowship together and talk and do the youth council things and it's for young people. So it's a really cool spot. Actually, it's new. If you haven't seen it, you have to be of age. You have to be a young person to get in. You have to be a youth council person, or not a member of the youth council. You just have to be a minor, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so mom and dads don't get to go in there. We've got full they're being looked at, they're being watched over very well. And it is not a daycare. This is for young adults. And then we have the sensory room, which has, been around for a little bit, which is just a really cool spot for folks who, that helps, for whom that helps. Okay, you can go to the next one, Dina. Oh, and also the duck race. Don't forget the duck race at the cafe. That is the thing at the end, and so we throw down like 5,000 rubber duckies down the slide at the back pool, and the kids love it. It's a very fun thing. It's really a great time for them. So here are some tips, right, for the family cafe. You got to have a plan because there's so much in. It's basically a 2-day thing, right? So you got to get it, and it's all happening at the same time. And so just sit down with the book, look it up online. We have an at a glance also on our website that'll give you the schedule without all of the other things in the book. The book is very large, as it always is, I'm sure, as you know. And take a look at that beforehand. Also, there's an app. It's called the Family Cafe app, and that's a schedule. And you can actually schedule the things that you want to go to beforehand, and you can get an alarm and it'll tell you. So just if you search a family cafe, that's out there in the cyberspace, and it'll be hooked up to this cafe. And then that schedule, once it is finished, which we're not done with it quite yet, but when it is done, it'll all be up on the thing. It's a really nice way to be in touch with us during the cafe too, because if, for example, something gets canceled, it's the way that we can let everybody know that this particular event, somebody didn't show or whatever. But definitely get the app, and that's really helpful. Prioritize the issues. If you can follow a track, that's great. But if you want to move around and learn about other things, just make the plan and make a schedule and stick to the schedule, because distractions are aplenty. So the application for financial assistance, as you know, just go ahead and do that by April 1st if you want to. I'm saying this sort of for the record. That ends on April 1st, well, obviously just a couple of days ago, and we'll let everybody know around the 15th if you received the financial assistance. Okay, we last year, just for a little perspective, I think we paid for 750 families which is a lot more than 750 people, right? And that's also, for some that was 3 nights, some it was 2, some it was 1, but we pay for as many as we possibly can. And then let's see, and who asked for it, of course. The food. Yeah. So if somebody's coming to the cafe for the first time, I think something that might surprise you is, well, if you think about it for a minute, you probably shouldn't, but food is expensive in hotels, right? And I usually individuals. Let me just answer your question right away, Deborah. It is random. It is a lottery system, and when you apply, we put everybody in it, and we make sure that you didn't double apply, right? That happens quite a bit. And so we make sure that, you're only in there once. And then we do it. And it's a program. And then, however many people get in on the whatever that number works out to be is usually, approaching half of everybody who applies. So, I mean, it's not like it's a long shot, it's a little under 50-50. It changes every year, I think. I mean, I know it changes every year, but I think it was a little under 50-50 this year, just to give you the answer. And then we had another question. That's a great question. We mail that Q&A book out. If you want one, go ahead and I'm going to put my email address. If you want to email me, I'll get one out to you. In the
And I
meantime,
can also, when we send out a copy of the presentation, I will put your contact info in there, Joe.
Oh, great.
To all
right.
attendees, so they can do it that way. So the Q&A is only after the fact. He's here, is that?
Yeah, I mean, we've got, you can imagine the logistical nightmare of getting the agencies, like 8 agencies to send you a 50-page answers back, but somehow we do it, and we get it, and I can send it to you. But I do know that that it does go out once we get them, and it's obviously quite a bit after this the cafe. Food expenses. So the tricks with the food: bring some of your own if you can, and snacks and kind of things. There is the restaurant on the mid-level, that sort of diner restaurant with a beeline. We call it the beeline. That's the place to eat. That's going to be the most cost-effective place to eat. That's a sit down. Other than there's a market store, and honestly, for my family, we're eating 80% of our meals out of that market store, and getting in line buying a sandwich, right? And then because it's just so many people, it's very hard to eat at the lunch hour with that many people in the hotel. So just plan accordingly, okay? Especially if you have a specific diet and you need to eat at certain times. We talked about the Governor Summit and stay connected throughout the year. Yeah. What else, Dina? Am I forgetting about the cafe itself? There was another question. Hold on, let me look at this.
I think that's more of a comment. When will the schedule and the topics be published?
Soon. Yeah, we're soon. The everything. So in January we have a meeting with our planning committee, and we decide in a democratic way what the presentations are going to look like.
Right.
They are now. There's a large number of them that are agency ones, and so those are going to happen every year. But the rest of them, we try to mix it up, and there's only so much room. We get thousands of these things to do the presentation. So important to get those in, when the right time, when the time is there to do it. And I forget what that date is exactly, but it's got to be in, like, I think it's toward the end of December. And then the planning committee will make the decision in January, and then let everybody know if your presentation was accepted or not. But
as far as the general public who's attending,
yes.
May 1st, do you have it done, or?
Oh, you mean with the scholarship rooms?
No. For those of us that are attending, if we want to know what presentations are
just the schedule.
The schedule.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah. Good question. We're doing that right now.
Okay.
That goes out at about a similar time as to the scholarship notifications. Jeremy is literally right now, like, we're putting it together. It will be fairly soon.
Okay.
That comes out. But yeah, the time is now, April, toward the end of April.
So if you download the app, it's going to be a couple of weeks before the 2024.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but it will. But it's probably going to be last year until because this year doesn't exist yet. So I don't know.
Right,
We'll see.
right.
Do you have tips on how to maximize for the Governor Summit? I do. Um, get there early, and
Comfortable shoes.
yeah, it's going to be a little while, right? And get there early. There's also, there's opportunities for bumping into people too. Just mingle, be around, but
Yeah,
definitely, I mean,
yeah.
get there very early is important because that will fill up quite fast, and there'll be 3,000 people in the room by the time it's full. So good idea to get there early.
Joe, I've been there the last couple of years, and I've run into people like Senator Rick Scott and Representative Fine, and you never know who you're going to run into. Have you gotten any RSVPs from policymakers?
Yeah, we have. We're probably looking at least 10, I would say, coming. We have a member or two of Congress. Senator Scott is always there at some point. The governor will. I'm not sure exactly when the governor is coming. Hopefully, it's on Friday evening, but it might be Saturday morning, or it might be earlier in the day on Friday, whatever his schedule is like. But yeah, we expect a bunch of state elected officials, including Representative Fine and others who have been before. All right.
Do you know how many wheelchairs go to this?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Do you know how many wheelchairs go to this?
I'm not sure about the number. I don't know about the number of wheelchairs that are there, but I mean, quite a few. Yeah, as many as need to get in the room, right? Yeah. There's no limit. So I've never run out of room in one of those rooms. So we're in good shape in that regard. What else, Tina? What was the last?
Yeah, the last was just a little quote kind of thing.
Oh, why? Yes, and I didn't know if you wanted to do any advocacy stuff. So let's see how that goes. Does anybody have any other questions about the cafe or anything that you?
I don't see anything in the chat that we haven't covered, so we can open it up to people.
Sure.
Put the chat, raise your hand, unmute yourself.
One of the issues that people have is difficult, and it's difficult for us. And I'm just speaking frankly here, is the hotels, right? To get the rooms, it's a bit of a cluster at certain points of the year. So I know it can be frustrating for everybody when you call and they say there's no rooms, but we know there are rooms, and then we've got blocks of room, we've got blocks of scholarship rooms, and then you've got other blocks of reduced rate rooms. But also realize this too: the Rosen Center is the hotel across the street from the Hyatt. Okay, there are 2 Rosen hotels that are overflow hotels, and they are increasingly getting more business as as more people come. And if you're having a hard time at the Hyatt, do not hesitate to call the Rosen Center. I think it's about the same price. And honestly, even though it is across the street, and I realize that is a problem, it's probably a closer walk to the main hall from the Rosen than if you were in the further tower at the
That's
Hyatt.
the one I usually stay at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I usually stay.
Dina,
yes.
Dina, in that line of thought, I reserved a month ago, and it is important to say that you are for the family cafe. They will give you the discounts,
Right.
but they were getting almost already booked out. And I'll need the schedule whenever it is possible. No rush. We have until June, but I already have a couple of legislators that their aides mark their calendars for Friday. If it is possible to at least send me the schedule of Friday.
Well, I think once it's
Sure.
published.
100%. And I do expect that, pretty soon to be. I wouldn't, not more than a week or 2, I would say.
Hey, Joe, if we downloaded the app as I have, when you guys do put it on the app, I'm assuming mine will be updated.
It will. It'll make you do an upgrade, or
So what people may want to do is download the app, even though it's 2023 right now, just because then they'll get noticed when it's active.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we have Denise and then Michael
Okay.
have their hands raised.
Oh,
Denise,
Denise. Denise is more of an expert on this than I am. You're
I am
talking about
not,
Denise.
but I thank you. I am a firm believer if I do not get in the main hotel, I will be in a plaza because it's just easier. But I will advise, if it's possible, if you're in the main hotel, to take your luggage down the night before you check out. Because trying to get luggage out of I don't care how many elevators they have, you can be there for a long time. So take your luggage down and keep an overnight bag with you the night before check out, or you could wait a long time. People have wheelchairs, elevators, the service dogs, everything, and you might 12, 15 times. That would be my one recommendation. And they do have microwaves close to where the thing is. So if you do bring food with you, that's something that you can also do is microwave. But
Yeah.
that's my strongest. That's my strongest. I got stuck for 2.5 hours one time. They had to come up and save me because they could see me on the camera up there, and I couldn't get down because I had a presentation. I had all my stuff with me. So just a recommendation: parking's free. Take your stuff down the night before.
Yeah.
and you had a question on the,
Oh, and can I throw one more thing in there, Dina, and just say that the Q&A book is on the website as well.
right, I'm looking at it now. I put the web link in
Yeah.
the chat. So Denise, what was your question about the
Yeah.
pre-conference on Thursday? Do you need to register for it?
Yeah, good question. So the pre-cons, so there's two pre-cons that we call them. One is the Women's Summit, and the other one is the FROM pre-con, the Family Run Organization Movement pre-con. And those are both the Thursday prior to the session from like 10 to 3. It does cost $25 for lunch because it's just too,
Right.
nobody would ever come back, right? So we pay way more than that for the thing, but we do have to charge for that. So
Is that on the website
different
to register for
registration.
that as
That's
well?
a different registration than the family cafe registration. Okay.
Okay, where would they find that registration link?
The From link would be on the website as well. But again, if you're on the Family Cafe website, you're getting emails for the From Precon too. If you
Okay,
haven't gotten those, look at the website. You'll see there's an area there on From, and you can
okay,
do it right there.
okay. I
But
put the
no,
one.
you don't have to. So yes, you've registered for the main conference. You of course can attend and or register for the pre-conference on Thursday, either one. The Women's Summit, which is really lovely and been doing it for a long time, and that's got a real following. It's a real popular thing. And then the From, we're a little more studious in there, but we'd love to have as many people as possible at that.
Thank you. Michael, do you have a question?
All right.
Well, hello, Joe. Long
Hey,
time
Michael.
no see.
How you doing?
Well, it's with the champion we had in Tallahassee, I am terrific. I am very, very happy. I do want to say first that I want to thank you for everything that Family Cafe has done for me as my self-advocacy journey. It helped me with a lot of tips and tricks on how to improve my self-advocacy, even advocating up in Tallahassee. But one of the questions I have is, I know you guys started doing live broadcasting with the governor summit, like when the governor is speaking
Mhm.
and all that. Is there a link? Because I do want to, because I know I'm presenting on supported decision making
Mhm.
for the Family Cafe. Is there a link that I could actually send to my family so they can watch me, for those who cannot make it, so they can watch me present at the Family Cafe? And the other question is, if I do have friends who are in the local area, would they be able to come join me for the Governor Summit, or do they have to pay for parking and all that good jazz?
Well, they would have to get in to the hotel, right? However they want to do that. And if they want, but of course they can come with you. You bring as many people, Michael, you should have a contingent of photographers and reporters around you walking in there this year with the kind of pub you've been getting. It's awesome, and congratulations, man.
Joe,
I'm
it's
so
like
excited.
HBO Entourage. He
It
needs his
is.
whole entourage.
Oh my God, is he Turtle? Who is Michael? I'm a
I hope
huge
he's not
Argyle fan.
Turtle.
I think he might. I mean, he was the responsible one.
That's true.
You know,
Um,
Joe, I'm going to laugh if the governor, like, because I know the bill's on the way to the governor's desk. I'm gonna laugh if he comes to Family Cafe with the bill and just signs it at Family Cafe. That would be a funny.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's right around budget time, if you remember. So sometimes he gets to make a nice announcement about, whatever, some funding and things like that. And there'll be a lot of announcing, I'm sure, this year. So, but you're right. That would be funny. Let me answer your question real quick, Michael. I don't yes, for whatever ones are being live streamed, that we will have a link, and I will get that to you.
Okay. Brandon, I see your hand up. Did you have a question?
In the future, do you want to work with Walt Disney World? I have been wanting to do something like this, especially with CP as part of magical trips.
Good stuff. And you know what? Yes, we always love working with Disney. Disney is a big part of, our story. We had the first few cafes there, and the Coronado Springs is probably one of the most popular spots we've had it in. And but again, that's as it got bigger and bigger, we sort of that capacity was sort of, and then the distance is a big issue on some of those things. So answer your question is yes, we love working with Disney. We love to work with them more. We're always looking for those opportunities. Is that helpful? Nothing in the mix at the moment, but always open for that.
So to touch on Disney, Brandon, the Arc of Florida has our advocacy days. We're having it in September, and it is at Disney World at Coronado Springs, and it is more of a mini conference. There'll be the second year that we're putting it on, and you can find all information on our website. We've finalized a lot of the speakers and agenda, and the registration will open next month. So
the other thing I was going to mention too, it's also important. I just want to say this because I've been burned by this. It's a
Can
really
you
good
tell me
idea to.
some more about that?
Yes.
Brandon, I didn't catch that.
Can you tell me some more about that?
I will send you the web link so that you can take a look at the website. And then I'll put my email in there as well.
It's also a good idea to make sure you're building in time for rest. That is a very important part of it. If you do receive financial assistance, how does that work? So if you receive financial assistance, you'll get a letter that says you've got it. When you get to the hotel, you show your ID, and your room you're given a key. They're not supposed to, on the credit card thing, if you want to have incidentals, you give them your credit card. If you don't, then you don't get incidentals. But your room will be provided for you, and you just check out when you're done. You don't have to pay. If you didn't spend any money on, room service or something, then you're good to go. You have to do very little. If you get financial assistance, you just need to show up with your ID at the hotel, basically, right? And you need to reserve the room ahead of time for the financial assistance. No, and that's actually a challenge sometimes for us, because what ends up happening is everybody reserves the room and then waits to see if this is one of the reasons that we can, the rooms are hard to come by. They reserve rooms, sometimes more than one, and then wait to see if they get it. And if they don't get the financial assistance, then then maybe in the best case scenario they use the room, and if they don't, worst case scenario, sometimes they don't always cancel the room right away. So there's a little bit of a cluster on some of that at certain times, but yeah.
Then we meet on Zoom, because I would love to tell you some more about magical trips.
I would like that, Brandon. Maybe Dina, you can help organize that.
Sure, I can do that.
So please, if that's part of the plan with making your plan, the hotel plan is a big one. And I realize that it's difficult that we gotta wait until April 15th to find out. But in an ideal world, we really have enough rooms. Is just a function of, well, we may not have it. The rooms will eventually run out, right? Once we get right up there. But leading up to that point, a lot of times it's a function of people, reserving rooms and then seeing, what other opportunities there are, right? So we just deal with that as we go.
Great. Any other questions or comments for Joe?
You guys have a big group coming this year, Dina? Like what's the plan?
For the Arc of Florida
Yeah, just at the cafe.
Cafe? Right now, it might just be myself, Alan, and Dustin. I mean, we're a small office. I think individual chapters will bring people, it's
Oh,
not, an
I know
Arc.
Pyramid normally brings a huge contingent, and
Sure.
some of our other programs do too. I don't know if the band's going to be playing
They are.
this year.
Yep.
They are?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's going to be exciting, but we're encouraging all our CEOs to go.
Great. No, that's fantastic. Oh, we got one more message here. Let me see. Number of businesses in the exhibit hall, the micro business. Yeah, we have a lot of those. That's a very popular thing to do. It's free. If you are a true micro enterprise, it is free. So yes, please. Oh, Denise, thank you.
So
Oh my
yes,
God. The scourge.
I have done that before. I've been into that, yes.
I swear to God, please put your hand up if you've ever stuffed a bag at the Family Cafe, just so I can.
There you go. Are you still needing volunteers, Joe?
Always. Yes, that bag stuffing is a very large enterprise.
Do you need someone to show up just to oversee it and supervise? Because I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty good on that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, all the help is that it's much more fun when we have a lot of people. And I'm gonna tell you what, we had 200 people in that room last year, stuffing those bags.
Wow.
And we were at the mercy of when they gave us the room and when the items arrived, so they had to be scattered and stuff, but it was fun. It's a lot of work, but it was fun, and they made it a fun environment. And yes, it is hours of work. So come with your comfy shoes on.
And what time do you usually start that on Thursday?
Gosh, it was 4 o'clock, I think, last year.
Yeah. It's a little festive. It's a fun thing to do too, because you actually, you get to see everybody, you interact with everybody with the cafe and our board, and you get to hang out with people like Alan and Dina and Denise and Michael and others, and it's a really fun. It's kind of it's almost like a pre-con in a level where you just kind of get to meet everybody who you're going to be hearing from in the next few days, and so it's a nice place to build relationships. But the payback is you got to stuff envelopes for like 3 hours, or as long as you want. You don't have to do it all day, but it's a fun little time.
So Jamie was asking if there's an age limit for younger kids.
None.
And there's no age limits. I mean, you need to kind of keep a hold of your kids. You can't just turn them loose.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yes, we've become quite proficient in finding children over the years. My youngest son has actually got the best one, the record for the quickest find. We've never had any real issue with that, but it is easy to get lost in there because there's a lot of people. And so, yes, so there is no limit. The only age thing is that there's a few things that we do with just the youth council because this is for them, right? They are a self-contained thing. And so some of their activities are limited to either people there, within their age range, or that are on the youth council itself, which is a process to get on the youth council. You got to apply and be accepted, but it's a great little program. So no ages.
Well, great. Okay, so I don't see any more questions in the chat. Does anybody want to shout out any questions for Joe?
All right. Okay, we're on to that one. Sorry.
I am gonna send out a copy of his presentation with his contact info. So if you have any specific questions, you can email him and put some more links in there as well.
And let me just make sure everybody just a couple of the rules that we go by. In order to apply for the financial assistance, you do have to live more than 50 miles away. Okay, so, and if you live, if you live basically in Pensacola or Key West, I think that distance, and by the way, we don't decide these rules. These are DOE, this is the rules that we live by, with the state funding that we get, would be 3 nights. But, so that's important to it. But other than that, this is a completely free event. You can walk in off the street and come to this. You do not have to register beforehand. We want to see you. We want you to come here. And for the record too, the registration, you can walk around without being registered. And I don't want to say that because I want to encourage anybody, but I just want to, so don't punish me for that. But let me say this. And the reason I'm saying that is because there are times of the morning on Friday and Saturday, and a couple of times in the afternoons that it is just a cluster around the registration table. Come back 20 minutes later if you can, right? You don't have to wait in the line the whole time because it's not going to limit you what you can do. Just want to say that for the record. I think a lot of people think they have to wait in the line to register so that you can get into the cafe. You can't. But please register. Please register during the time.
Okay, so where does the funding come from for financial assistance?
This Department of, we have a non-recurring line item in the budget that we get, that we've been able to get in the last, for many years. That number has gone up over the years. And we get it from the state. Non-recurring appropriation, it's one of the things that I do is help get our funding, and the majority of our funding is on scholarship rooms, honestly. That's where most of our money goes.
Joe, thanks a lot. I know that Florida is like one of the only states that even has anything like this at all. And it shows, families being able to get together. I'm hoping to meet every one of you. I don't think I'll meet all 11,000 people, but it's a time to share information. And this will help our advocacy for next year as we talk and get to know each other and share information. To really take it to the next level. We had a great year, a lot of people coming up here to advocate during session, and hopefully you all show up that are on the call today. So thanks,
I'll
Joe.
tell you what, let me
this.
just do one last push, Alan. I mean, this event, if you've never been to the Family Cafe, it cannot be overstated about how moving of an experience it can actually be. I mean, it's the easiest job in the world to get political support or legislative support if I can just get somebody to be there, right? If somebody comes there, we had a legislator a couple of years ago stand up and say, who was an appropriations chairman, say, my God, this is exactly what we're supposed to be spending our tax dollars on, which is like a gift from God when you're the guy who's in charge of, and he's the one in charge of giving you the money, right? So it's a good thing. And so please come if you haven't. It will surprise you.
Joe, can I just real quick, because I put it in the chat, but I don't want to miss it. There's 15 local chapters of the Family Care Council and throughout the state. And if you're more than 50 miles away, every year the Family Care Councils, and Dina knows this well, she was our chair for many years, each council gets $9,000 to use for various things. We use a great deal of our $9,000 to send families to Family Cafe. We ask them to ask for funding, but if they don't get it, we fund them.
Yep.
Northeast region is one of the few councils that does. We sent 29 families last year, 29. So get with your local, you have to be participating. You can't just show up and pay for my family. If you're participating, one of the perks of being a member of Family Care Council is that you could possibly get funded. And if you're in Miami and Tallahassee and Panhandle, that's huge. So I would say join. I think Dina would definitely join in on that.
Yes. It's definitely worth it, because we lived in Pensacola for the longest time, and that's a flight because it was a 7-8 hour drive. But it's if you haven't been, you need to at least go once and experience it for sure.
Amen.
Do people come from other states?
Yes. Yes, they do. We had a contingent from China a couple of years ago.
Oh, cool.
People from all over the world. Yes. Yep. Oh, thank you, Tony, on the From guide. You know, one of the things we're going to try to do this year at our pre-con, our From pre-con, is to create another sort of an advocacy style guidebook, as opposed to John's guidebook is a little bit more substantive and more about, you know, nonprofit organization. Okay, this would be advocacy. And Mary, the lady who's doing it this year, comes from an education background. And so her take on it is this is not the technical take that John has about how to, you know, which is critically important and usually
Right.
popular, right?
Yes.
But this one is a little bit more. It's talking about what the best, some of the best methodologies of tracking your progress with advocacy. And so,
Right.
but she's looking at it from like a high school teacher perspective almost, where, you know, we go into these meetings and we're trying to get an answer, and then we, you know, our success is based on whether we got the right answer. Her take is, you know, look at this thing a little more comprehensively, because if you do a little different, you know, there's a lot of ways to achieve multiple things at the same
Sure.
time.
Right.
So,
No, I agree. John's is more process oriented,
Mhm.
and the advocacy part and what to do. So John's the how. Now, the what to do would be very important also. Who do I call?
Mhm.
I need help, or, you know, how do I get involved, or something like that would be very helpful.
Good. Please check it out, man. Please check it out. Sign
Yep.
up if you can and come. We're gonna have a full day. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey is so great. Mickey is at everything. Thank you, Mickey.
Well, Joe, we certainly appreciate the time and the information. And we want to thank everyone for joining, and hopefully we'll see you all there in June.
Thank you so much,
Sure.
everybody. It's so nice to
No,
see
it's
everybody.
great.
Alan,
Thanks for your-
thank you guys.
Whoops.
Thank-
But no, I was
Thanks
like,
for your time.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for your
hey,
time.
guys.